This scope does double duty, and we're checking it out in this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. So at first glance, you're going to say, this is a long-range scope, and in Airsoft, well, what do you need a long-range scope for? Well, it's actually a CQB scope as well. This is the variable optic from G&G, and it's actually their 1:1:4 scope, so it's 1.1 to 4 in magnification. I'm going to show you how it works here as we dive through the features. So let's go into the first most important part of how the scope works with the variation of its optics. It actually has a ring here. There's a lot of different dials all over the scope. In fact, there's 4 different ones. You can get to 5 if you want to count the one for the eyepiece focal adjustment. But we're going to be focusing on this one right here. It starts at 1.1 times. So this isn't a one-time scope like your red dot. It actually magnifies ever so slightly. But if you're not paying super close attention, you're never going to notice that extra 0.1% on this one. So starting at that, you actually have a really good CQB scope. You can look through it. Eye relief's pretty good. It's about 4 inches from your eye, so you don't have to have this thing drove down in, so you actually can use it as kind of a spotting scope. But it's not a scout scope. Scout scopes usually have really long eye relief, like designed to be fit way up in front of the rifle. So this is definitely designed to sit back on it. At that 1.1 time, you actually get almost real magnification. So you can use this to clear rooms, you can go both eyes open, and it's illuminated in here. We'll talk about the illumination in a second. But you can also dial this thing all the way up, but it's not just 1 or 2 modes. You can actually go from 1 to 1 infinitely all the way up to 4 by. So you can find that sweet spot. For me in Airsoft, a 2 by or a 2.5 times magnification scope is just about perfect, unless you've got like a DMR or a sniper rifle. Then you may want to look at that 4 by scope to really pick your targets out at range. But this one lets you set it exactly what you want. It's got this little dial here. It's very well made. All metal, so some of them you've seen out there are probably rubber or plastic. This one, the actual dial is metal itself and smooth and works its way in. It does hold 0 all the way through, so if you dial it up or dial it back, you'll be able to keep that 0, which is a huge, nice touch. And talking about 0, look at these towers. Now, most of the scopes like this you've seen out there, they're affordable. You can get some that are kind of cheaper. This is definitely a premium scope from G&G. The towers, first off, do one thing on this that you're not going to find on pretty much any affordable version of the scope, or even some of the premium ones for that matter, is they lock. You actually have to pull them out to make those MOA adjustments, or minute of angle adjustments. And then you can push it back in, so now you don't accidentally bump it. So once it's in the down, push down position, locked in place. Another fantastic touch, because these towers are so big, they're really easy to use with your gloves, but if they didn't lock, you might have some trouble if you're going through brush, knocking this thing out of 0. Well, fear not, they have you covered there. Also, if you forget what the minimum angle is, if you guys want to use this scope on something real perhaps, like something probably light like a 22, I haven't tested on anything big and beefy before you guys ask about what the recoil this thing can handle. I will say it'll handle airsoft recoil, handle gas blowback recoil, which means it'll probably handle 22 caliber recoil, no problem. It does have the 1 click to a half minute of angle adjustment. Now in airsoft, we're not taking shots at 5, 6, 7, 800 yards out. We're taking shots at 100 yards on the very high end if you've got a well-tuned gun. So you will be able to dial this thing in. So the MOA, you're gonna be doing a lot of clicking to get that thing sighted. Like I said, once it's sighted, you're good to go. And it's illuminated, but you don't have to use that feature, and that's what's great too. It does have a really nice crosshair. It's kind of got like a light beige color when you look through it in your eyes. If you're in a dark lit room, if you move over to a lighter area, it's going to give you that black crosshair. So it does work in low and bright light. They picked a nice color on those crosshairs to make that happen. In the dead center is your illuminated dot. And I love that they just chose to do that really tiny dot there in the center. Nice and sharp, rather than illuminate the entire reticle. I've seen a lot of these scopes, especially ones you spend 50, 60, 70, or even 80 bucks on. They choose to illuminate the entire reticle. It costs a little bit more money to do it right and just do the dot in the center. That way you didn't wash out your vision. You don't have any problems with like the reticle or the actual big crosshairs just boom, blowing at you in a dark room if you're doing transitions. This one is basically like a little red dot, but red's not an option. It's only green or blue, which I also like that too. I think, you know, in Airsoft, red is the visual color of someone with their hit called. So if you're using a red dot, you may have trouble determining if someone has a dead rag out or not. So they opted for the green and blue. Again, they really put some thought into creating a premium Airsoft scope. And also because it's the premium scope, you get really great glass. I'm sure you've heard people say it has good glass. That means it's a nice, crisp image. Some of these will give you that double vision image, or it just seems a little weird, or you get what's called like kind of that fisheye look going on. This one is nice and sharp all the way up and down through the range. So if you go all the way to 4 or all the way down to that 1.1 times magnification, nice, crisp image, which I love so much. And around everything out, you can, like I said earlier, adjust the eye relief here and your focus on your eye here on this area, so you do have all those adjustments. The only thing I have to say about this is I really wish they would include some scope rings in the packaging. That's the one thing it doesn't come with. It does come with 2 batteries. You get the CR2032s, which I'm so glad they've chose that. That's the standard little button cell, like that looks about the size of like a nickel, American nickel. You can pick them up absolutely anywhere for cheap, which is fantastic. They didn't go with some crazy like 3 batteries or some hard to find one, but I really did wish they included some sort of scope rings. Now, in true form, most scopes don't come with scope rings, especially premium ones. So this one does follow suit with the trends in the industry. And again, it's a standard size, so you don't have any worries about picking up one that will fit. And build quality. Because we're looking at high end here, this thing is solid metal. Like I mentioned on the ring earlier, there is no rubber or plastic in this whole thing. So this is definitely gonna hold up in comparison to some of the cheaper, less expensive scopes out there in the market. So you are getting your money's worth. So guys, if you are looking for a really cool variable optic, I love the look of these on every gun. I mean, they look great on a SCAR style rifle. These things look awesome on M4, short or even long. Take a look at G&G's variable optic scope. It's the 1.1x24x scope, and it's the blue and green version. And of course, as always, I've linked down below in the description so you can check it out and learn more. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you're not currently a subscriber, click on the logo on the bottom right or in the description and you'll always be in the know. Plus, if you like what you saw in this video and want to learn more, I've got a link down there as well. And if you haven't had your airsoft fixed just yet, click in the videos on the right or use the info button at the top of the screen for more. And as the saying goes, everyone has an opinion, and I do want to hear yours. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this video, comment, and share.